everyone, welcome to the third video of Easy Neuro. Today's topic is the lobes of the brain or cerebral lobes. As we studied in our previous video, that our cerebrum is divided into two different hemispheres, and each hemisphere is divided into four different lobes. So today we will study more about these lobes and their functions. But before we begin that, let's understand another important aspect about our cerebral cortex. So our cerebral cortex is actually highly folded, or you can say highly convoluted. And this is important because it gives rise to distinct characteristic folds of our brain and also increases the surface area of our cortex, which can in turn allow more number of neurons to be accommodated in our brain. Okay, so these folds can be either in the form of gyrus, sulcus, or fissures. Okay, so gyrus are basically the elevated ridges which are present around the brain. Okay, so in this diagram, if you see, the ridges which will be present are known as the gyrus. So if you actually see a 3D image, it will be much more easier for you to understand that how these gyrus look like. They are just the ridges which are present on our brain surfaces. The next are the sulcus or the sulci in plural, which are the small grooves dividing our gyrus. Or gyri. So these grooves that you see over here are known as the sulcus. Okay, and they divide these gyrus, two different gyruses. And the next one is the fissure. So fissure are the deeper grooves. Okay, so it has not been shown here in this diagram, but fissures basically divide either different parts of the brain. So for example, if you see an image of the two cerebral hemispheres, you will see that there is a gap between them, and this gap is actually the longitudinal fissure which divides the two cerebral hemispheres. Okay, so this is the difference between the gyrus, sulcus and the fissures. Okay, now let's go into the different lobes of the brain. So the first lobe is our frontal lobe. So our frontal lobe is the largest lobe in our brain. Okay, and it's some of the functions that it controls is, for example, the motor control. So our frontal lobe actually contains our primary motor area. Okay, so our primary motor area is present over here, somewhere here. Primary motor area. Okay, and this area is actually present in our precentral gyrus. So the precentral gyrus is this area over here, present anterior to the central sulcus. So the central sulcus is this groove here dividing the frontal and the parietal lobe. Okay, and anterior to this we have the precentral gyrus, and in this gyrus we have this primary motor area. Okay, so this is also a precentral gyrus where we have this motor area. Okay, next, functions of the frontal lobe include it's really important for decision making, for reasoning, for mathematical operations, decisions, again, thinking abilities. Okay, it also contains certain structures which are really important for emotions and behavior. Okay, and also an area important for production of speech. Okay, so there's an area over here known as the Broca's area. So this area is actually really important for the production of speech. Okay, and if there's any impairment or damage to this area, it is seen that it can cause a condition known as aphasia. So aphasia is basically an impairment of language or production or comprehension of speech. Either it can be verbal or written, and there are different types of aphasias. Okay, so a damage to the Broca's area can cause a particular form of aphasia. Okay, the next lobe is a parietal lobe. So parietal lobe is mainly involved in the sensations and integrating our senses. Okay, and it contains the primary sensory area or the somatosensory area. Okay, which deals with our sensations, and this area is present in the post central gyrus. Okay, so in our pre-central gyrus we have the motor area, and in the post-central gyrus we have our somatosensory area. Our parietal lobe is also involved in spatial awareness and proprioception. So proprioception is basically in being aware about our body or body parts in space, okay, or in relation with each other. All right. So our parietal lobe and our occipital lobe are divided by the parieto-occipital sulcus. Okay. So our third lobe, that is the occipital lobe, is mainly involved in processing the visual information, okay, integrating and interpreting the visual stimulus that we receive, and it contains the primary and secondary visual areas. So it is mainly important for analyzing vision. All right. And the last lobe is our temporal lobe. So our temporal lobe is divided or is separated from the frontal and the parietal lobe by the lateral sulcus that you see over here. Okay, and its functions are basically sensing or sensation of hearing. So it contains the primary auditory area present somewhere here. Okay, so this area is basically the primary auditory area, so it's really important for hearing. Also, the temporal lobe is important for comprehension of language. Okay, so it contains an area known as the vernix area. Okay, so this vernix area is actually a part of the temporal and also part of the parietal lobe, so it's present somewhere here. Okay, it's known as the vernix area, and this area is actually really important for the comprehension of language or speech. Okay, so again, any damage to this area can cause a particular form of aphasia, and it also communicates with the Broca's area to form speech understandable or understand an understandable form of speech. Okay, and another important function of our temporal lobe is in memory or memory formation. So it contains an important structure known as the hippocampus, which is really important for memory formations for long-term memories. Okay, so these are the different functions of our different lobes of our cerebrum. Okay, and we also understood what is the difference between the sulcus, gyrus, and the fissures. Okay, so till then, thank you so much for watching my video. Please hit the like button if you thought that the video explained the matter in a simple and understandable way. So if you liked it, please subscribe to my channel also. And till then, thank you very much and see you in the next video. Bye.